What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Rest TV. I'm Russell Lewis.
I am a captain in the United States Air Force. I am an air battle manager, and I created a platform where civilian and military members can connect with the next generation of leaders. I understand the importance of mentorship because it changed my life. And I want to make sure that everybody gets that opportunity. So without further ado, welcome to Mentorship Moments.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. I'm Russell Lewis, and today I have a mentor of mine, somebody I met as a brand new lieutenant at Castille Air Force Base, the one, the only Chief Master Sergeant Keith Castille. Sir, what's going on?
Oh, it's going. Life is good. Can't complain.
So when I met you, you were, I want to say, Senior Master Sergeant at the time.
I was.
Yeah, so congratulations.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Chief Master Sergeant Keith Castille is the Squadron Superintendent for the 326th Training Squadron, Joint Base, San Antonio, Lackland, Texas. He serves as the Commander's key advisor on matters influencing the Air Force basic military training mission, including unit effectiveness, health, morale, welfare, safety, and effective personnel utilization. He leads 62 military training instructors and support staff who aid 8 other squadrons in the annual transition of 44,000 civilians into warrior airmen through the Air Force's one-of-a-kind 8.5-week basic military training. So 44,000.
That's right.
So that is
going a little lower this upcoming year. I think we hit the mark for last year. 44,000, roughly between 41 to 44,000 warrior airmen we're trying to get out to the operational Air Force.
Chief, that's awesome. When I met you as a brand new lieutenant at Castille Air Force Base, we were able to connect so easily. Number one, because representation matters, and you were the first Senior Master Sergeant male that I had ever met. But also, you told your story, and you were born and raised in Lafayette, Louisiana.
That's right.
I'm from Mississippi, so that's
we're cousins.
We're cousins, and we adopt the Saints, the New Orleans Saints. Mississippi, we don't have a pro team, so we got to go, hey, they're the closest one, so we're going to go with them. But following graduation from Lafayette High School, you joined the Air Force in 1995. Upon graduating basic military training, you became an arms guy. Tell me a little bit about that. What does Armament Systems Apprentice, what does that mean?
We bomb loaders. Bottom line, we load bombs. We load them, pilots drop them. That's it.
So you were a weapons guy.
Well, I am. I'm going to be a weapons guy to the day I die.
Chief, thank you for coming on today. I'm so excited about this. We've been trying to do this thing for a while, but I'm in training or you're transitioning, doing some other stuff. But Chief, thank you so much for just taking the time out to do this. So what's going on with basic military training right now with COVID?
Oh man, basic military training. I will start by saying that basic military training is going through sort of a transition due to the COVID-19, but overall we are led very well. When you look at our commander down at the group level, Colonel Newsom and also Chief Gaitan, you'll see that with all the changes our nation, the world is going through, and things that we have to put in place in order to ensure the safety of our folks, but at the same time ensure the safety of those trainees coming in and ensuring their family members know that we're taking care of them. We have made a lot of changes that have shaped the way we train and also have shaped the way we even ship to the technical training and then get them onto the operational Air Force. But we are led very well. And when you look at our wing leadership from Colonel Generals to Chief Blazier, man, on point, spot on. And I think that's a testament to just leadership as a whole in the Air Force. If you are led well, when changes come, it's going to be some pains, but overall, we're going to make it happen. And we're not going to do it on the backs of our people. We're going to do it on the backs of knowledge and making sure that we're doing things logical, we're doing things smart. So a lot of transition right now, a lot of changes, but overall, just amazing. When you tune in every Thursday, you'll see on the 37 Training Wing webpage, you'll see roughly 700, and I think the number's going to get a little lower in the next couple of weeks, but you'll see hundreds of new airmen ready to serve and ready to learn their jobs in the technical training and then get on to their operational mission in the Air Force. I'm telling you, it lights a fire in me every single week.
I can only imagine, Chief. So speaking on leadership, what are some of the key leadership lessons that you have learned while serving in the United States Air Force?
I would say, man, one of the main lessons I think I've learned in the early years is that you may not have all the knowledge, or you may be the dumbest person in the room, but with that young airman, that staff sergeant, that NCO, senior NCO, LT, whomever in your organization, what they're looking for is for you to listen, is for you to care, and for you to be involved. If you're not any of those three, you're not caring, you're not involved, you're not in tune, and just know where to get the answers, you will fail as a leader. And that's the three things I've always focused on throughout my career, especially when mentors have put that into my mindset.
One thing I always ask any Chief Master Sergeant that I talk with, whether we're having a one-on-one sidebar conversation or even a mentorship moment, what does it take to become a Chief Master Sergeant in the United States Air Force?
Oh man, I love that question. And the first thing I'll say is you have to be a good senior airman. I'm gonna tell you, man, I never thought I would be a chief. My goal coming to the Air Force was to get a master's degree and be a master sergeant. And I remember Chief Phillips down at Capone Air Station in Germany told me my goals are too low, and his expectations for me and of me will be very high. And so I remember at the time I just had my bachelor's degree, and then I was a tech sergeant. And he said, "Look, that's what I need from you. You will get more education. You will get these things here." And one of his focus was he wanted me to be prepared when that time comes. And I tell you, man, that's the answer I give all the time. Be good at where you're at. If you are asked to pick up cigarette butts, if you're asked to clean trash cans, and I tell you, even in basic military training, short story here, based on the precautionary measures we put in basic training right now, usually trainees are the ones that come in and kind of clean the building. And at the end of the day, that's part of their details. Well, for the last 2 weeks, we had no detailed trainees. So you would see myself, you would see my commander, you'll see other staff members. We pushing mops now. And I tell you, if you're gonna mop, you be the best mopper in that hallway. If you're gonna change toilet tissue, be the best toilet tissue changer in that building. And I'm not saying that's gonna get you promoted and get you more rank. What I'm saying is you're just focused on being the best where you're at, whatever that mission, whatever we ask you to do. I remember when I was leaving one location, and I don't want to call out the base, so I said one location, and I got the assignment to work for the Professional Farm Center of Excellence. And they were like, "Nope, you shouldn't take that job because that's you're taking a step down. And it'll mess up your chance of promotion. You got all these things lined up." But the first thing I did to the chief that I spoke to, only thing I did was I pointed to my heart. And I said, that's where I'm supposed to be. And I said, if I'm doing things for promotion, if I'm doing things just to get ahead, and I'm not following my head or my heart, I'm going to make a bad decision that's going to impact me for years. I can be a chief one day. I can be a command chief one day, but I feel like I won't be happy here because I didn't do what I felt was in my passion in the moment. Oh man, it made me think about that.
It is very important to pursue your passion or your life's purpose. So when you're able to chase your life's purpose, do you feel like it will ultimately get you to your definition of success?
That's a hard question, man, because I think at a young age, we don't know what we're going to become. And that's just my personal feeling on this. I feel like we don't know what we're going to become, but what we should do is follow sound advice. And so when I came into the Air Force, prior to coming to the Air Force, I played basketball. I thought that basketball was going to be my ticket out. And where I come from, believe you me, not many of us make it out. And coming to the Air Force, I'm going to do 4 years. I'm getting out. I'm not low. Nobody bombs for more than 4 years. I'm getting my stuff together and I'm rolling, right? And of course, this is 24 years later. And what I found was that my life has always been a reinvention. Okay, a reinvention every year. Because once I get more knowledge on something, once I gain the right mentorship or different people come into my life and I pursue different callings, I find that I am getting on the road I'm supposed to be on. And don't get me wrong, there's going to be some forks in it. There's going to be some hilltops, but at the same time, I figured out that I'm going to continue to reinvent myself and reinvent the things around me. I had kids. So when 4 years in, I had kids. So I had to reinvent what my life would look like. I'm not going to play in anybody NBA at this point, but what I need to do to be successful within this thing called the Air Force, because I call it this thing at 4 years because I didn't know what the Air Force was about. It was a way out. And then when I realized that I needed the Air Force is when I started to put a little more time and effort in what it would look like in 20 years. The person you met, and I was a senior master sergeant, wasn't that person, 2001, after about 6 years in the Air Force, wasn't that person in 1995. Totally different person I was when you met me. But it's all about reinventing yourself.
Chief, you inspired me to become a speaker. I gotta give you that. I know you were a PACE instructor at the time. You forced me out of my comfort zone. Within 5 minutes of that class, you were like, "Hey, you're gonna get up and you're gonna give a speech. So you need to start thinking about it right now." And I'm like, "What? I don't even know you." That forced me to adapt two things. Number one, you always need to be prepared, always. And number two, you forced me to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. That day, I really feel like I had a breakthrough. So
And look at you now.
yeah, I become a. But look who I am following though, right? I found out that you were a John Maxwell certified speaker, trainer, and coach. I was like, hey, that might be something I want to do. So I did it, and I want to talk about breakthrough because I'm very proud of you for becoming a chief. But I got to be honest with you, I am a lot more proud of you for becoming an amazing father and supporting your beautiful family. So let's talk about that.
You moved too fast to family. I had something to say on that piece there.
Hey, we can go back and forth. You know that.
Okay, hold on. I want to say something. So this is a true story, man. This is a true story because you're bringing up. Man, let me tell you something. I compartmentalize a lot of things throughout my life, and like I told you before, it's I think it's all about reinventing. When I was in middle school, I was the lead for the Black History Month. I was going to be Martin Luther King. This is the finale. The last person up, and I'm going to give this amazing speech. I had a whole month. I took every single day, memorized this speech, got on stage, and I'm the finale, right? And first eye contact I made was with my cousin, and my cousin wouldn't let me off the hook. He looked at me, he made faces, he did everything he could to get me off my mark, right? I mean, this is an entire auditorium full of my peers, in middle school, and they booed me off stage because I locked up and I froze. I was a shy kid. I will never, ever in my life get in front of people. And let me tell you, when things came into play, when I've gotten to the Air Force and met certain mentors, they put me back out front and told me the need for me to be a leader that's visible, that's able to communicate, and all those horror stories of the past and what I felt, I had to break out of that and I had to be ready. So I tell you, for me even to be speaking was something that I wasn't expecting in my life based on what happened to me at an early age.
Well, I'm glad you had that breakthrough because look at what you've done for me and so many other airmen in the United States Air Force. Now let's move on to family, man. Again, Chief, I am very proud of you for making Chief. I really am. However, I am more proud of you for being an amazing father, an amazing husband, and supporting your family. So let's talk about that.
We want to know. Got 3 sons. Got an amazing, beautiful wife. In the last, man, it's been a wild ride though. It's been a wild ride. When I look at when I look at my upbringing, and I hate to bring in my past so much in this, but it's who I am, right? Growing up, didn't have a dad, didn't have a male father in my life. Had a father figure, a person who was dating my mom. Unfortunately, those things didn't last very long. So, but one thing I did have though was a Boys and Girls Club, and the Boys and Girls Club was a place that I went to almost every single day. And I can tell you that there were 3 males there that they weren't our dads, but they always gave us enough nuggets for us to continue to push through life and not succumb to what was around us every single day: drugs, crime, everything. That's a whole nother another commentary on that one. But I would tell you, but didn't really have what I needed to grow. To be the man I needed to be. I have this conversation with many of the folks that is in my circle when it comes to just males and we have kids, and we talk about the fact that we made a lot of mistakes early on in our lives with women, with kids, because we weren't equipped. And not that that's an excuse, but just being honest. Wasn't equipped. Regardless of how I was raised, regardless of what was around me, one thing I wanted to do was I wanted to be a good dad. I wanted to be someone that when my kids woke up every single day, they saw an amazing person, a person they can look up to. I didn't want them. I was Jordan. I was jealous of Jordan. I hate the fact that my kids will wake up and want to be like that individual, because you know what? That's a far stretch for people where I'm from. But that guy that's picking up your trash every Tuesday morning, that's focused and reading the good book and being a good person every single day. Maybe that's the person that they should look up to every now and again, So, but I would tell you that was my guiding light. I wanted to be someone they can look up to. And that's what kind of drove me to be the dad I am today. Whatever it took, whatever it takes, I want to be that dad out front. I want to be that dad that they can posterize and look at and say, you know what? He may not have been the best dad in the world because he got my derriere all the time, but I love him because, you know, he lived by a set of values that I can live by today and actually teach my kids to live by.
I know that you were a single father for a while. It's a whole nother set of challenges being in the military and being a single parent. So what are some of those challenges you face?
The challenges, man, going to a new base. Well, one, I was overseas when I became a single parent, and just the challenges of being overseas, being in a high-vis job that required me to do a little bit of travel, that required me to be at work, and then going through a divorce, or finishing up the divorce process and actually getting custody of the kids. And one thing I learned was that, one, just on the family side, that kids are going to go through their own set of rehabilitation, their own set of problems, and their own set of kind of adapt to this new change. And as a father, man, for about a year and a half, I went through some growing pains with that, because that was some resentment, that was some frustration, but also I had 3 males in the house now that's trying to be the top dog, right? And then, of course, you know, I would say probably halfway into it, met a special lady in my life at the time, and she was part of my life, and really looking forward to having a long future with. But then, right midway through that, we were separated for some time. I was stationed in North Carolina, and she was stationed in Texas. Well, when things were going to come to a point to where we're going to get together, get married, and so forth, roughly 5 years, you know, into my 10-year single parentness. She passed away suddenly, and she was she was involved in the kids' lives, and she was someone that, you know, my kids knew, you know, as another person they can look up to. And I would tell you that was a struggle, because now I've finally gotten through the 2 years of the hiatus and the chaos of being a single dad, to now having someone in their life and planning the future, to working to get some consistency, and then wham, life hits again. And so I can tell you those 10 years were steadily triumphs and roadblocks. At the 8th year mark of that, well, let's say 7th year mark of that, my oldest son, he had a stroke. He was a great basketball player, probably going to go really far. He had a stroke his 11th grade year, and he lost all motivation, you know, when it came to basketball, when it came to a lot of things. So being a single parent with the military, with the moves, with all the different situations that can pop up in our line of work, to the personal side, life continues to hit. And I can tell you that getting help, having friends around you, having a strong circle is the most important. And one thing I learned throughout those true 10 years is I cannot do it alone. I call myself a single parent, but the truth is I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of supervisors. I have a lot of people around me who are acting as me in situations when I'm going. I went 2 months. I went to the Senior NCO Academy. One of my best friends filled in for me for 2 months and watch my boys. And I tell you, man, that is something where when I look at the Air Force family, the Air Force as a whole, I call myself a single parent, but I had a bunch of airmen that were parents with me, helping me through the process. So although rough, although challenges happen, trials and triumphs, roads and some roadblocks, the thing is, you just have to stay resilient. You have to be focused on where you want to be as a person and where you want to take your family. Those goals don't change. I want my kids to go to college. I want them to be successful. I want them to be good citizens in this and for our country, good for this world, good human beings. And so those goals never change. And that's true. That was part of my I would say my push every day as being a father, you know.
So we talked about resiliency and compartmentalizing a lot of things earlier. How did you get through all of that?
We're not equipped, right? We come from certain areas of the world, we come from certain communities, and maybe we don't have enough skill to survive in the world. But the truth is, there are some skills that we do have, and we have grown up around it, and we're able to at least tap into that hardness at certain times. And I would tell you, when life hit me, I had a, you know, in lack of a better term, I had to get hard. You know, I had to get hard. I had to focus. I had to put myself in the corner for a minute just to kind of rebalance. And then know what's around me, know who I can trust, know who I can open up to. And then, you know, and that was a short amount of time, because I remember the time when I first found out, I was at the ALS graduation when I found out that my fiance had passed away. And I just remember, after getting that news on the phone, this is the middle in the ALS graduation, my phone dropped out my hand. I fell to the ground, and the lieutenant colonel, who was my commander at the time, he picked me off the ground and he held me and he said, "We're gonna get through this together." And I can tell you there are so many moments in my career where an airman, big A airmen, have grabbed me and said, "You know what? We're gonna get through this together, regardless." No matter what, we're gonna get through this together. I can tell you, many people go through different things. Many people have had different things in their corner. But I had airmen in my corner every single time, grabbing my hand, literally picking me off the ground and holding me and saying, we're going to get this together. And one last thing on that was, I remember I'm driving to the airport. The first sergeant's taking me to the airport, General Slocum. He's a good guy, worked for, and wing commander, barely knew who he was. And he gave me a call on my personal phone and had about a 30-minute conversation with me. And it's like me and you right now having this conversation. He's talking to me. And then he tells me, we're going to get through this as a 4th Fighter Wing family. So we're going to be awaiting your return. And let me tell you, so I can name 1,000 things and tell you 1,000 stories of just how airmen have just grabbed me, have just picked me up throughout my life and been there for me.
I know you are a maintenance guy. How has being in the maintenance career field correlated to the way you do life?
Oh man, good question. I tell you, as a maintenance guy, so I want to tell you this quick little story, right? So I never was a kid that had like a plane in my hand and did zoom, zoom, zoom. That wasn't me. So me being in maintenance was definitely not part of my identity. And so being in maintenance, one thing I learned quick was that you have got to hold your own weight, and you got to pull your weight, because I'm on a team of 3 folks that got to get the job done. If I'm lacking, if I'm not on top of my game, then I am going to fail quick. And one thing that maintenance taught me early, I would tell you, is that camaraderie is important. Being a team is important. There are many jobs in the Air Force where you're working on a terminal, you're doing certain aspects of your job where you're alone. But in maintenance, we all work together. We understand what that weapons guy do, and what ammo guys, guys and gals does, and with the armament, folks that's working in armament systems, fixing the equipment, crew chiefs, to specialists, to even finance. We understand that everyone is part of the big picture, and that we all must come together. So I would tell you, maintenance taught me early how to be a team player. In basketball, I'm thinking now, I'm passing the ball to 4 people, but no, maintenance taught me that there's hundreds, if not thousands, of people relying on you, and it's not about putting one ball on the goal. Sometimes when I have to go and complete a mission 2 and 3 times, or different aspects of that mission a couple of times in order to accomplish the mission. So it taught me teamwork. It taught me taking care of people, because maintenance folks, they are very open and honest and candid. So if I don't care what rank you hold, and you go up into a maintenance individual, a maintenance person, and you say, "Hey, I have a question for you." Be ready for an honest answer. And if you're not, don't ask the question. But it taught me honesty. It taught me how to be real up front. It taught me how to be candid. It taught me how not to sugarcoat, because people don't want that. That's not what we're about.
When I was a high school student, I was terrified of joining the military. And I thought everybody that joined the United States Air Force either had to fly a plane or work on a plane while it was flying. What advice would you give a high school student or their parent about joining the military to kind of get rid of that fear?
I would tell you the fear is always going to be there. Some fear of the unknown. What I would challenge them to do is look at themselves and see if they're capable. If you're willing to do something bigger than yourself, you're willing to be a part of something bigger than you, if you're really ready to understand what service before self is about, and actually doing something that will bring smiles upon people in the world, I would tell you, then challenge yourself to be a part of an organization, to be a part of an enterprise that brings freedom around the world. And if you're not liking how that sounds, then maybe it's just not for you. We talk about numbers and how less than 1% get to do what we do. And I can go into high school right now, and I can tell you that I can look at some folks and I would say that, yeah, you might be capable. You might have the physical talent, but do you have the mental talent? Do you have the mental fortitude to get through this and really be part of what we are about? Fear is going to be there, but I would just say, I want you to challenge yourself and fight through that fear. And do you want to be a part of something bigger than yourself, bigger than anything you're probably going to do in your life? And then I would ask you to take a step forward.
For any high school students that are even thinking about it, you can do it. And I'm living proof of that. I barely graduated high school. I had like a 1 point something. I am a college dropout, and I got myself together, put my grind in, and now I'm a captain in the United States Air Force. So if I can do it, for anybody anybody listen to this right now, whether you're a high school student, whether you're a parent of a high school student, your child can do it. And I'm living proof of that. So Chief, last thing, and we're going to wrap this thing up. How should leaders add value to the people that they have the absolute privilege of leading?
I would say you add value. I'm gonna go to a post that Chief Master Sergeant Joanne Bass posted. You can say things all day, but what everyone around is looking for you is to be an executor. I can tell you in my organization, I push this every single day about family time and about getting home on time and not spending all your time at work. And I remember one of my trusted CNCOs walked up to me and said, Chief, you need to be following your own advice. You're here 14, 15 hours. And just those small things, just like that, even though I'm spending a little more extra time at work, I'm not doing what I'm asking them to do. So if I'm not doing what I'm asking them to do, so why should they hold what I say as credible advice or things that, because they see me there, so they should be there also, right? So my answer to that is just be credible. If you say it, do it. If you can't do it, don't say it. If somehow you mess up, own it. I've worked for some leaders in the past who have made mistakes, and we've realized that a mistake was made. They would never come to you and say, hey, I made this mistake. And let me tell you, that's the worst thing we can do in a leadership position. Own that mistake and go to them, even if it's 10 months later. Go to them and say, hey, I made this mistake and I need to correct it, or at least apologize and be an executor and watch the trust you build in an organization.
So Chief Master Sergeant Joanne Bass, 2nd Air Force, I think that was an invitation you just gave her.
She's the best to do it. She's been a mentor to me for a very long time, man. I tell you, and I know you can do the same thing. And when you start looking at the circle of people who will call you on a Tuesday night, and say, hey, I don't want to talk. Now I want to be on FaceTime so I can see you, so we can have this conversation eyeball to eyeball. That tells you, man, you in good company. I can name 100 folks, from Chief Simmons to just, I'm gonna throw some airmen out there. My mentors aren't all chiefs. I got some senior airmen who are my mentors right now. I got some civilians, some GSs, some who are mentors to me right now, because I ain't got this thing figured out. I don't. I just love the fact that no matter what, I wake up every day with a sense of purpose and a sense of wanting to get better and wanting to grow.
Chief, before we wrap this thing up, I just want to say thank you again for spending time with us and giving us all this amazing advice. The floor is yours. Give them that mic drop moment, wrap it up, and we're going to put a bow on it and get up out of here.
Man, if I can give one last bit of advice, or at least closing this out, I would say, whether we're dealing with the COVID, or we're dealing with mold in a dormitory, or we're dealing with manning in an organization, if we're dealing with personal things in our life, the one thing that I always fall back on is what you're committed to. And this is one that I love getting on, this C word, this commitment. We will spend time and money on the things that we want. I can have $5 in my pocket right now, and I will find a way to get the things I want, to get the things that I feel I need. And that's what we do, right? That's what we do as human beings. What I tell folks is just know what you're committed to. And maybe you're not committed to the people around you. Maybe you're committed to self. Well, just know that if you're not committed to the people around you, then they're not going to be committed to you. I always ask folks, just know what you're committed to, but also be able to adjust what you're committed to, because there are a couple of people around you who are committed to you and you don't even know. There's an organization of folks that's committed to you right now, but as soon as they see that you're not committed to them, that their level of commitment will change. So adjust your commitment, know what your commitment is on and what's it about, and know your reach. If I'm sitting as a senior airman with 40 A1Cs below me, understand that there are 40 A1Cs looking at you right now as a senior airman, and they want to be just like you. When you were a lieutenant, you were looking at those captains and you were saying, I want to be a captain. I want to be a captain. I want to be a captain. And, and every captain that walked by with those bars, you were like, oh man, I can't wait to be a captain. Well, just think about it right now. You got 1,000, couple thousand new Space Force airmen now from last week, right? Looking at you right now saying, I want to be a captain. I want to be just like you. It's not about us. If our commitment isn't to the things around us that we say, part of our core values that we want to be a part of, then we have to level up. Level up your commitment, know what you're about, know what your expectations are, and some of those expectations need to get a little higher or need to grow out a little further. That's my last piece.
That's awesome. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Mentorship Moments. You just heard from the best to ever do it, Chief Master
I wish.
Sergeant Keith Castille. I'm Russell Lewis, and
Oh, hey, you can't close it out yet. Don't close it out yet, because I do. You know what? You remember you hit me with some impromptu questions, so I just have a few for you. Now that you're in the Air Force, and you see a path. You see a path. Where does this path take you now?
one of my goals is to be a wing commander in the United States Air Force. Will I ever get there? Maybe, maybe not. But my life's purpose is to mentor, mold, and help the next generation of leaders become the best people and leaders that they can be if I can. And I hope I'm doing that with this.
When you see my stripes, whether that stripe is a chief stripe or a senior stripe, when you met me, you met an individual who have been through different levels of failure. I have failed as a flight chief, I have failed as a father, I failed as a husband. I'm newly married, well, 2.5 years to an amazing person in my life. But you better believe that I'm gonna fail. I'm gonna say something wrong, I'm gonna do something wrong. I'm not gonna, you know, remember, when I walk in the house to say I love you or hey, your hair looks nice. I guess here's my question to you is that are you prepared to fail?
Absolutely, Chief. So we talked about being uncomfortable. My life, for the most part, has been defined by my failures. I would have never got to where I am today if it wasn't for failure. My failures have literally given me a map and guided me to success. Failure will get you to where you need to be, but you got to be willing to put in the work. I hope that answers your question. I was not expecting these
And,
questions.
those are questions I ask everyone that sitting in the seat in my office. I call it the hot seat, and that's the questions because I think at the end of the day we don't get this professional thing right. Is the personal aspects of our lives that in our lifestyle we look at and we're like, man, did I do enough today? Did I make sure I capitalize on this moment here? I told you, man, being 2.5 years into my marriage now to the most amazing person. I never thought I would be here, you
Yeah.
know, and just to know that I get another opportunity at putting a smile or at least aiding to put a smile on someone's face and being part of something in a union that years to come I can be proud and happy and know that my sons see me happy and they see that I'm being the man I'm supposed to be. So I don't know. I just we got to be tethered, and all in the right direction, all team together. Professional can't be here and personal can't be here. It got to be balanced. It got to be balanced. If you're this, if it's like this, trust me, that's not getting there. So hey, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time. I know we've been trying to do this for years, but we finally was able to get this done. And I appreciate your leadership. And I don't care if you're a captain or a 4-star general, man. If you are touching lives of people, that's what matters. That's the human aspect. That's that soft skill that we need in every single person in this world, whether you're leading or following. So I appreciate all the work that you do, the time you put in, the 19 hours you put in to ensure you're balancing that personal and professional side of your lives.
Thank you, Chief. Again, to everybody watching and listening, we appreciate you all, and I hope and pray that you have learned from this as much as I have. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.